Hey guys, welcome to OCD Real Talk. With our first ever, I think, guest on Real Talk. We haven't had a guest. We've just had annoying regular people coming every week. So we have Zaidoon with us, who has been a part of our community for several months now. He is an expert meme maker. If you guys need like a meme maker for your business, like this is the person to hire, right?
Annoying.
Yeah, I'll give you his contact. So just ask him. But we
Incredible.
we thought we would talk to Zidun a little bit about, his journey, his background a little bit, his experience with OCD, and just then let the conversation take us where it usually does, talking about, OCD and whatnot. So Nick, would you do you have any thoughts? I can sense you having some thoughts over here.
Yeah, well, I don't know anything. Like, I don't really know Zaidoon's story. So, like, Zaidoon, if you
Okay.
mind, give a background about
Yeah,
your
yeah,
story.
yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely. I would have loved to share everything about my story. I mean, I think it's the worst thing about the OCD I have. I would say the main theme that I struggled with is the ROCD. I think I was talking with the Momin the other day. Yeah. I mean, I recall the last call we had together. You asked me, how long do you have OCD? I would say, yeah, and I was thinking I think all my life, as far as I recall, it is OCD. Is full with OCD. I mean, I think since my father will die, I think I've developed that straight away. And then after this, I thought people would normally be the same, feeling anxious, feeling not in a place, I mean, doomed. Um, but you don't know anything about it, you know?
And that was
Who do you speak to? If
when
you
how
speak
old
to
were you when your dad passed away?
I probably I would say 10 years old,
Okay, and now you are, how old are you now?
47.
47. Yeah.
47.
And because I think we lost our father at young age, my mother was so anxious, so scared that she lose one of us. So she all the attention was, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you there? Did you cross the street? Did you do that? Did you are you okay? Are you well?" So I think this is the feeling that when we saw our mother struggling with the loss of our father, it just made us feel that we are scared of probably we die or something bad happens to us.
But
Um,
yeah, I think that's a very interesting point that you bring up because like our past, I think a lot of us can remember like a past event that we've had as a child, as a teenager, whatever. Like the moment we like some of the things that have really contributed and perpetuated the anxiety, you know. I mean, probably we had the genetic component already there, but like circumstances and situations and like bring that even further.
Absolutely. I mean, it is interesting. I mean, even though my OCD didn't become chronic until my late 20s, I mean, when I look back, I mean, all throughout grad school, like when I was in grad school, when I look at the amount of like, you could consider them just right compulsions I did around tests, schoolwork. I mean, my notes were out of control, compulsive note taking. If I didn't, because my biggest fears were rejection, as it is with most humans, like I had this persona that I wanted to keep up, that like I was the first person done. So this was a compulsion I did for 3.5 years. Like if I wasn't the first person done on the test with 90 kids in our class, I would literally like feel panicked because I'm like, I have to let think them I'm the smartest. I never, it's so interesting when you're not chronically latched that you don't put that together. You're not like, oh, there's something going on here because we don't have like if we had a class in high school all around the world that was called "This is why you're anxious," and it's just like talks about beliefs, people would understand, but we don't have any idea about this stuff. Like we don't have a class in psychology or mental health that every school in the world gets of like, oh wow, maybe I don't need to be the best person in class. Like I can actually accept myself. but you don't. You go throughout your life just forming these behaviors. And that's what happened to me. I'm sure, Momin, you had very similar things.
Yeah, 100%. I remember like a lot of my like, like just I don't know if there were like compulsions, but I can sense some behaviors that were coming from like a irrational place, and just like I was just a little fused to some of those behaviors, and I just wanted to do them. They didn't make me chronically anxious, but I just really wanted to do them, and like they really made me feel bad sometimes.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's
and
weird.
they don't like
Yeah,
you also
exactly.
mentioned
I was going to this point.
yeah,
It's weird how you get adaptive using these habits, the bad ones, avoidance, reassurance. I mean, you build a life on them. You build a complete life on them. Uh, Amazing, isn't it? Because this is how the survival works, isn't it? With the OCD, you just go around. I'll avoid this. I'll tell this, and I will get
And
relief. And
people think it's normal. I had a girl, the contamination OCD I still work with, who when she came in to see me wasn't even coming in to see me for contamination. And then it just got brought up. And I realized this girl has really bad contamination OCD. Like Zaidoon, like bad. To the point where I could not believe how it was just like I think she said, I just thought that was odd. I said, no. You have like thousands of behaviors on a daily, like, wash your hands 150 times a day. There's something going on, like, but you've normalized it in your mind. So, Zaidoon, let me ask you a question yeah, that might come in. That might be better moments sometimes if you turn the camera off when your internet's
yeah.
like this. So, Zaidoon, when you came in to work with Momin and Rob, had you tried other things before you came in? Like,
Oh yeah.
what did you realize? What would you say is the biggest takeaway from the approach that, like, applying acceptance versus other things you did?
Oh yeah. I tried a lot of stuff. I mean, thoughts are thoughts. Just leave this. Don't think about it. I mean, move on. Things will get only better. I mean, there are a lot of forums for OCD. I mean, I used to avoid everything. You know what? I used to avoid reading about them because I think if I'm gonna read them, I'm gonna be triggered. But a lot of them, I've tried them all. I've tried all the forums, whatever you think about there on the internet, on the YouTube. I've tried them. Uh, you've gone to read yours. I mean, the recovery journey thingy, and then all of the comes around, and then this is what makes sense. It's it, there is no logic in OCD, isn't it? There is definitely no logic, but you sense there is something different in there happening because you tried everything. It's not working. It, you tried everything. You've gone to the doctors. They said, "Oh, it's just anxiety. If you want to take a medicine, there you go. You can take. I can refer you to specialists to see what's happening there, but it's just stress, work stress, whatever the case is. It's not. They don't understand, isn't it? They don't.
No, I think the best way to explain,
yeah,
when people ask me how come people don't understand, I said because the human brain is so, in my opinion, it's so, I don't know what the right word is. It's so conditioned to understand suffering through physical appearance. So, like, no arm, wow, that guy has a bad life. He has one arm. Like, you can visually see it. Nothing with OCD you could see. Even when Momin's doing compulsions, you're not
yeah,
seeing anything like that. You're like, oh, he has like no eyes or something. So I'm like, of course, and it doesn't really matter. I never say this like outside one-to-ones, but when people go, why doesn't anyone understand me? And I say, look, if I gave, Sally and Jimmy, your two parents that are just telling you to just get your stuff together, if I gave them POCD for 30 days, do you think they would say that? Come on, of course not. But so they're never going to understand. And that's why I spend no time telling that. But Zaidoon, let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
Because where do you live right now?
I live in Sheffield in United Kingdom,
Okay, so, and where were you born?
Iraq.
Because I don't really know your background story. How long did you live in Iraq for?
Oh, I lived there probably till I was about 30.
Oh, so you were there the majority of your life.
Oh, the most of my life, yes, it was in Iraq. So 30, I left after the war, and then I think I left Iraq in 2006. Well, that's more than 30, isn't it? I think 30, no. But then I moved on,
I
went
mean,
to,
like,
yeah, so probably gone to another country, United Arab Emirates, worked there, then moved on to Jordan, and before I moved into the United
Did you
Kingdom.
ever meet anyone else like, because I don't, you don't know what, like an American would just have stereotypes. Like, I don't know anything about this. Like, would you ever meet anyone in Iraq with OCD? Like, did you ever come across anyone else with OCD in Iraq?
I think, ironically, the only thing you know about OCDs there is the cleaning, cleaning, perfection, something like that. This is how OCD was. Nothing else. There is nothing else been mentioned. I mean, I know my cousin. He used to hold his hand like that, walk into the door, open it with his shoulders, and go.
Wow.
This is, and we used to say, what is he doing? You used to do that moment, isn't it? So you can't, and then you touch something. His hands were literally gone, like his skin, because of the cleaning that much. His skin is
I
how soft
sometimes
it is.
joke about this. I feel like contamination OCD taught me to like live my life if my hands got chopped off. In the sense like because I was doing so many things like with my elbows, with my feet, with my knees, with my like hip joint, with my shoulder, because I couldn't use my hands and just like I sometimes I've like even used my nose if I have to like touch something or whatever, like at times there was like a call on my phone that I had to pick up, right? And I couldn't use my hands. I would literally this is my phone. I would swipe my nose up to
No
answer the
way.
call.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
You use any kind of then tactic, and so you kind of like train your mind that like I can't obviously stop living life, but I mean, but I am contaminated, so I can't like touch things. So I better use like some other body part to do this, and it's just like yeah.
Well, this is a crazy thing. So my buddy who I go hiking with, who Rob loves to joke with me about, he's a neuro guy. So like Zaidoon, he's like intellect way up in the clouds. I always joke with him. I'm like, bro, your IQ is 1,000, your EQ is 0. You have no emotional intelligence. So he's great. Like if he was on this call, this would be him the whole time. Like he just has like this is like flat. But he can't see it like this. The girl I had yesterday, my last call of the day from Australia, completely obsessed with disorientation, like vestibular stuff. Look, there are obvious physical causes for that, but it just goes because he'll have these people and they'll say to me, I've had this woman, right? Here's a story I can remember. I've had this woman, she's had vertigo for 11 years. I said, tell me about her. She won't do this, won't do that. She doesn't respond to neuro rehab and like very evidence based neuro rehab. And I'll be like, well, have you ever thought about the fact it could be all anxiety? And he's like, I don't think anxiety can do that. I'm like, it can. It definitely can. It's like, it's really hard. Like, and imagine living in a country where there's almost no awareness. If you have like a disorientation, hyper awareness of vertigo, you're stuck for life. I hate to say it.
And also, like, I see people like that, like, around me, by the way, like, who have anxiety-based things, but I don't say anything to them. I let them, if they're going to doctors, if they like, because I don't want to be the person to be like, that this really seems like a majority of an anxiety issue. But I don't say anything because people won't understand. And like, I think also like the cultures that Zidoon and I are from in the background as well, like they're so, I
Definitely.
mean, until you don't give someone a pill, they won't feel like, oh, I'm being treated, right? It's that kind of thing. So they need to feel like they are taking something for an illness, or like there's some, or if there's some kind of injection, like something like more substantial and physical and tangible, they don't feel relief until like they don't have that. And so for them, for like to tell them that, oh, it's fine, like it's not, it's fine, but like it's driven by the way you are perceiving things or you're getting anxious about things. I mean, they'd be like F off, like what are you talking about?
Would you guys
They
say
won't
like
take it seriously.
Zaidoon and Momin, would you say in your area of the world, there's still like a large belief that could be like OCD is potentially like a like devil or religious type of thing? Like, do people believe like, oh, you're possessed? Is that something that you a lot of people might believe over there, or not as common?
Yeah, well, say the thing that Moment probably have or has had before that, like say contamination of witchery stuff or whatever the case is. Those people are gonna definitely end up in a mental hospital. Definitely,
Mm,
they they
I
they they,
mean,
they
go ahead, go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. No. I mean, there is no. I mean, you go to the what you go to the doctors in my country, and then it's just say, I just feel like I think I'm dead, but I'm not dead. And so what do you think they're gonna say to him? You're crazy. Go.
Yeah, yeah, I think like as far as like, because it's hard to say because I obviously am from like the more urban areas and the more developed areas, like, and from the like one of the most, if not the most developed city as well. Um, and obviously there are like expanses of rural areas still. So I don't know if over there they might think like it or not. I really can't say. But on my end, I think that it's I haven't seen so far anyone with like an anxiety or problem or someone who is a little more neurotic and they are being like so here's the thing. They don't consider it as like the devil or anything else, but what they will say is that maybe like praying can make them better, or like a special kind of prayer or ritual can try like maybe relieve them of this, but they don't necessarily consider it as like the devil thing. But yes, I mean, understanding about mental health is very low, and people just like then start like disregarding the person as, I mean, it's just like, oh yeah, he's just like insane and crazy, so they don't like take them seriously ever. That person is not taken seriously, or they're either at times also made fun of, sadly.
And that's a
I
And so
think
that
it's the
person is
time
likely to
period.
end up in the mental
yeah.
hospital. Go
I
ahead.
think in the 90s, I'm what I'm talking about, probably the 90s, and I think this is long time ago when it's the thing that the people adopt to the people who has some mental illness is they are cursed by witch or something like that, or someone is cursed them with something, and then this is how it goes. I'm not saying like the medical stuff is not there. There are good mental hospitals there, and just but but this is the thing. There are easy stuff to deal with, and not necessarily going that much. You just need understanding, but it was difficult anyways.
Well, this is the
Yeah.
hardest thing for me, I would say. I think, and I'm sure Moment can see, I have a disconnection in one area. Moment, which isn't a bad thing, it just is another, I don't know if say challenge is the right word, but like Moment, when I've had people say to me, I've had people say like, I'm uncomfortable with you because I know you don't believe in God. And I'm like, hey, look,
Yeah.
like, this is an OCD call. We never have to talk about that. So I always have these really hard ones where it's like, how do I tell someone that their value system, like the aspect of praying, for an example, like with your end of the world, where they're like, are you telling me I can't pray? I'm like, no, it's not that. I'm just saying, like, I just want you to know that there is going to be outside work you have to put in.
Let me put it this way. If you have OCD, there is such a thing as praying too much, right? Because people are like, wait, this is a good thing. Like, it's like saying that too much kindness is bad. But like, it can be. If you have OCD, it can be
Yeah,
because
too much people
because
pleasing. Yeah, it's a good way to look at it.
yeah,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
mean it like and think about it, like if we take even like a religious lens over here as well, praying is not something that's supposed to like make you overly upset. But if you're doing it compulsively, like because you're trying so hard and you're just trying to get that feeling that, God has forgiven you or something like that, increasingly you're going to feel upset and very, very disturbed. So, and that's not like, and like praying is supposed to be like overall, like an overall, calming thing. And there's a certain meditative angle to it as well and whatnot, right? So, I mean, like, so there is such a thing as too much praying. And yeah, I mean, there's a separate debate that can go into it and whatnot, but that's
It's a
not the
difficult
time
thing.
here, but yeah.
It's why when people like this is one of the main reasons actually when you look at the oversimplification of OCD on the internet. It's like you don't even hear people take this into account. It's like, yeah,
Hmm.
I get what you guys are talking about. Like you're talking about, let's say, like farm OCD. But what happens if you have someone that comes in from Saudi Arabia where their entire value system is based off their faith? So you have all these little intricate details that you're not even thinking about, and it oversimplifies what needs to be done. So
And
so
it does change the way you approach the conversation as well.
totally.
The background context is sometimes you have to keep that in mind. In like, if you like, if you were a fly on the wall when we are doing one-to-ones, like I speak slightly in different tones and at times even slightly different language with different people because I mean by language I don't mean like English and German and stuff, but like wording
He speaks
wise.
Chinese.
Yeah.
Yes. Suddenly I go into like Hebrew or something. But anyway. But like no, so like it just like different language and tone because you do have to keep in mind at times the culture and the background that person is coming from and what their lens of like thinking has been. Because if you just directly speak to them like in the same terminology and as we are familiar with it, it might not get through to them. It will not pierce through. So you
Yes.
have to kind of mold it a little bit.
And I know for a fact in the very beginning, that was something that was difficult for me because being raised in like that typical like New Jersey, New York persona attitude of joking and straightforwardness. When I worked with people from, I mean, there's the Nordic countries where like that, like Sweden, Norway, where that directness isn't really a thing.
Yeah.
I like the joking, the cursing. I'm like, India. That was a hard one for me in the beginning. I'm like, there's no sarcasm. Like I can think of
Yeah.
numerous people right now where like when I would do a sarcastic joke to kind of like if they were in a bad mood, it was silent because
Yeah.
Rob would say like you have to understand like the culture of India is very different than what you're saying. So
I feel like if Zaidoon and I were not like, exposed to like Western culture a lot, and then we wouldn't resonate with the jokes on the same level. Like I think there's a certain like, for example, I can like relate to the kind of tone, language like completely like a very Western person, right? But then another person who has not like had that kind of like exposure and stuff, like they won't get it. So you have to like, at times really match frequencies that way.
it's like a family. It's like you have a person that comes in, they're born and raised in an area in the European Union, that they come from a very, say, Catholic family, and they've never been used jokes. Where I grew up
Yeah.
in a household of jokes. So it's like you
Yeah.
make a joke to them that you wouldn't even think about. Like to me, it could be like just the word the. And to them, you could hear them almost in the phone, like,
Yeah.
oh,
Mm.
and then you just
Yeah,
know.
it's like
So, Dune, I have a question for you. In your opinion,
yeah.
if
Yeah.
someone was coming in, or it was like your last day on Earth, and you were giving a speech to all OCD sufferers that were brand new on the journey, I love this question.
Where's this question going? Like, this is too
Listen,
much pressure.
listen.
That's
I'm
pressure.
I'm painting a picture for Zaidoon here. So
Yeah.
Zaidoon's last ever speech, what would you say is the most important advice you would give to people new on the journey, specifically new?
I honestly go for a 1-to-1 session.
That's not
Well,
what I
I
thought you were going
mean,
to say, but
I will tell you something. Imagine cold is being the OCD, and you have these fabrics, which you just whenever you felt so much cold, you just put that and patch it up. Say these fabrics are the tools you have, compulsion, whatever the case is, and you use them all the way. Oh, I know this, I know that. This is for compulsion. I'll use this for this. I will use it. And then imagine the sewing these fabrics together is the sessions that you have, one-to-one sessions, where you can wear that accordingly all the time, and you are protected from cold. That's it. It is exactly like that. It done that to me, and honestly, you
so
have to know what is. Yeah,
the craziest thing is like with Zaidoon. So Momin, how long have you been working with Zaidoon, would you say?
uh,
it's a while, isn't it? I mean,
5 months, six
yeah,
months,
probably, yeah.
What would you say is the biggest
something
difference
like
from
that.
Zaidoon's first call till to today?
I think I like so this is like one of the interesting things that you see on one-to-one calls is like the person starts off and their tone, like you can hear in the tone, the hesitation, that them being caught up in themselves a little bit, like slight that anxiety and whatnot, like you can hear that. And then like as time progresses, their speaking becomes more, like flowy and it's smoother. It's like, that hesitation is not there. So I think that just that clarity in thought, essentially, clarity in thought is like massively there. And it just like even when and you can hear also when people are expressing their ideas, you can hear like the rational thinking as well. So I think that would be the biggest difference.
It's so cool to hear that too, because like again, it's you. I think you. I mean, Zaidoon, from what I can tell, I mean, from what I see in the groups, I mean, you've done a great bit of progress in like 4 or 5 months, which is
That is the other thing I just wanted to mention, by the way. Like, I think the reason that Zitoon has also been able to make a lot of progress is because he also like did the homework.
yes.
Like, if
Yeah.
he came onto a call and he was like, "Okay, what do you want me to do?" I'd say, "Do this," and he'd be like, "Okay, that sucks, but I'll do it." So he did the homework that way, and I think that's why. I mean,
I
he
think this
was able to chip away
changed
quickly.
the most. I think this has changed the most, and how you approach the homework as well. I mean, it's not just you look. I followed you guys since like 3 years ago, probably. I hear your videos, and I know everything about everything. I've had a collection of everything, but then again, yes, I can control things at sometimes, but I was onto the setback hits me. Oh, I die sometimes. I just want to think is that's it. I'm gonna just live with this. I'd rather die now than that thing. But then it comes these homeworks that tidy up exposures. I remember when you told me the other day, just hold the book in a place upside down and read and in front of people. I want to a pub and I've done this. Okay. Probably yes. I went to another cafe just to think. Probably pub they will think I'm just a drunk or something like that. But let me go into somewhere library and I've read it that like that. I think if you do this and how anxiety build up before that is immense, but then it just you've done that. Yes, okay. Let me approach something else, but I think you just do the homework on the right time. I mean, say if you are in a moment where you are caught up of or triggered, say, oh, trigger me. You only want to have this thing that relieve you from that thing.
Hmm.
You just this thought is your OCD. Or the whole you build all of your OCD on just this tiny thought. This is me. I'll die if I don't deal with this one. So if you go read something about what you are triggered about, then you done nothing. You just reassured yourself about it. But I think
Hmm.
I didn't do that. I used to read something completely different. So
This is incredible, Zaidoon. I'm smiling because I'm like, everyone I coach that watches this, please do what this man is doing. Please listen to what he's saying, because
Yeah.
I had a girl come in yesterday who I haven't seen. She came in for, I think, a 5-pack, summer, made some good progress, had a relapse like we all do. And I'm a big believer in, you'll learn the most from your relapses, your big ones, because that really shows you where
Yeah.
you've been going wrong. And so she said, to me, I said, how's she was honest, which I really appreciated. She goes, Nick, I'm gonna be honest. After all the things we did, I had only read 3/4 of the first book. This is such a common story where people are like, I said, look, this is what I say on almost every call. If you sat down every person separately, me, Momin, Sam, Rob, Jade, Alexander, you, Zaidoon, anyone, and you said, are the books important? We would all say to you, it's a non-negotiable. Like, it's a non-negotiable. It really is. Like, you really need to make an effort. And there's so many other things you learn from sitting down and reading when you don't want to. Like, it's outside the principles of the book. It's also like, oh man, I had a really hard day, but I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna read because it's gonna help me in my future, potentially. And like, that goes a long, long way. And it's also hard to understand the lingo that we all use without reading the books. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to really understand unconditional acceptance. And like, now it's like, I can't even believe it's so hard to even think the other way. That's what's weird. Is like thinking back my whole life, how I thought in that conditional way. Like, oh my God, that person didn't deserve that to happen. Now I'm just like, life is life. Like, of course, there's no deservingness of. It's unfortunate, but like, it's such a different way of seeing the world that I know for myself, Zaidoon, I know me and Momin have talked about this. I'm sure you've experienced this to a degree. There can be like an initial loneliness because
Oh yeah.
you're like, I know for me, like, I'd be around my friends and that we would talk about the things we've talked about as long as I've known my friends, chopping shop, talking bullshit topics. And I'm just like, oh man, like, I can't, like, I have a hard time. Like, that's not, I want to go just coach OCD sufferers. Like, I want to go have conversations that are meaningful and deep. Like, it's a very weird thing. I had a hard time with that in the beginning because, and I almost felt as if that's where, like, where Rob talks about the lost years moment. I didn't look
Yeah.
at the lost years from my suffering, from like the actual suffering. I looked at the lost years of, I lost out on numerous deep philosophical conversations because I was thinking at this like super superficial level my whole life. And I'm like, oh my God, I like wasn't looking at literature or poetry or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where it hit me.
No, for like I think
Amazing.
again, just the one-to-one I had today was about the exact same thing, right? Someone with harm OCD, POCD, relationship OCD, right? And I was talking to her about exactly the same thing. I said, like, when we start going into these things, when we start breaking things down, we're then not like, of course, I mean, majority of the time is spent looking at perspectives on your specific theme. But then when you start to talk about perspectives and expand the net of your perspective, you start to talk about like just life and the like, perspectives on the human species and things like that. Like it starts to go way beyond, and it weaves into like history, sociology, philosophy, psychology, spirituality, like um biology. Like it weaves, all of it like weaves into each other. Literature, like there's so many things that I have learned just from a good fiction book as well. And they're like somewhere at the back of my mind. I mean, I still have those lessons and whatnot. But like, and that's the thing, like you have to really venture out of your usual stuff to be able to like really also see the horizon, like what is out there.
And talk to
Yeah.
people and get to really know them about that's what makes, I think, this like what we do so amazing. I mean, we don't, most people have never sat down and thought about how crazy this really is. Like, we get to speak to people all around the world in the groups. You do the same things to do. Like, like the fact we have where you are, I'm in Colorado, Pakistan. Like, how many people at this moment are having a call in 3 different countries right now at this moment?
Yeah.
Probably not many. It's such a unique thing. And then I would think, like, okay, well, go ahead. One thing, Moment. It's like, okay, well, let's say someone has a company that's in 15 countries. Let's say like Amazon or something. But Jeff Bezos isn't talking to Germany, Thailand, Sweden, New Zealand, Australia, all back to back in a day. He's not. I know he's not.
Maybe.
Yeah, like, I would have
Yeah.
to. Crazy.
I was just going to say, I'm I'm still not over the fact that you asked Zaidoon for OCD advice, but also put him on his deathbed.
No, that's
Like,
what I have to do.
you
I have to create a picture of urgency. Okay. Like, I
Yeah.
literally will say, when I explain to people, I'll be like, I always use the gun to my head, and they'll be like, why did you have to add that part? I'm like, look, it makes the story flavorful. Okay. I'll say, if I had a gun to my head and I was about to give you the only thing that matters, I would go, read the books. Like, it's like, I have to make it seem urgent because they won't listen to me.
No, but is it true? I would read the books. I'll call you and you tell me read the books, and I will read the books. I've read the books. Nothing happened. That's the problem. It's how you read the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
Such
that's
a
the
good
problem.
point.
So
Yeah.
I think Zaidoon, like, I just want to quickly ask you, is also like, and you can honestly answer this. Do you feel like that after reading the books and working on your journey, that it's only your OCD that has, like, your suffering that has, gotten better, or has it also improved your life in general?
Oh, I will say confidently, in general, it's changed. It's changed. It's the way you speak to people, is the way you treat people. I mean, I do it on a daily basis with my patients, and can't do much because of the consent thing. But you change a lot. It changed a lot. I mean, even friends, family, kids, everything. I mean, it changed you. Even I would think, if you ask me now, are you doing the homework still? I would say yes. I am doing them. I'm chasing everything. I'm chasing every subtle compulsion I do. And we spoke about that the last time. I told you, like, I'm noticing my nails are getting longer because, eating your nails was one of the main compulsion ever.
Totally, I had that bad. Cuticles, nails, like, I mean, like anything you could bite or scratch. Another big one for me is like these pieces of the pens. I would chew on those all day. Like,
I never did that. I never did that.
I did all these little like distraction techniques, like anything I could to like get my mind like off of something. So, but look, I gotta run because I have a 1-to-1 here in 5 minutes. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
Zaidoon,
think, I mean, we're ending this anyway, but yeah.
Zaidoon, that
Were you
was
about to ask something?
real quick, Zaidoon. It was awesome getting them like actually meet you outside my
And you two
phone.
guys, really, really, really big heroes. Thank you so much for everything you do,
Oh
honestly.
no, Zaidoon, literally my phone right now. This is my phone reel. This is literally my phone reel. It's stupid selfies of my face that I send to the groups, pictures of my dumb dog upside down, and Zaidoon's memes. This is like all my reel is. Like, when people are like send the pictures, they go, look at my reel. That's like all Nick's face. The group of Zaidoon is just all Zaidoon's memes. That's all.
Yeah,
They are so
basically.
amazing. Zaidoon, thank
Yeah.
you for coming on. We're definitely gonna
Yeah,
have
Thank
thank
you,
you.
guys. Thank you for having me. Honestly, thank
Yeah,
you.
we can do a part 2 as well to talk more about like your
Yeah,
story and
whenever,
things like that as well. Because
I'm
I
ready,
think
guys. Thank you.
there were so many things I wanted to ask as well, but the conversation obviously just like flowed that way. But yeah, this was great. Thanks for being here.
Can you
Thank
imagine
you,
real quick,
guys.
one last thing? Could you imagine if Zaidoon walks in, right? He has a new patient. This is like would make my life. Zaidoon walks in, he has a new patient, he has the paperwork. He's about to walk in. I have a fake alias, like Momin, that's completely fake. totally made up. He opens the room door and I'm just sitting there like this. He would be like, no way. Like they'd be like, who is this guy? Zaidoon's like, well, he's like this crazy guy from the States who does OCD coaching.
States.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, it was a pleasure. Thank you for everything. Always good to laugh in the morning.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Andre.